Well, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad. Yes,
Yeah.
so glad. The brand engagement director. Can you share more about your role? I love the title for one thing. I just love the title. Do you work both on Touchstone's brand as well as with clients? Tell us what that encompasses.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yeah, it was kind of a creative collaboration on the title. But the spirit of it is that, Touchstone really is all brand first. And so we really wanted to lead with that and make people know that like their brand is everything to us. So it is somewhat in the spirit of championing the Touchstone brand as well. We haven't done a lot of marketing per se. In our history, we've been fortunate enough to grow organically and do some things to that end, but yeah, so working with our clients, I'm really responsible for making sure that we're doing everything possible within our capabilities and our partnership network to really fully create brand engagement for them to inspire their customers and fanatics to really follow the brand and engage with it at every level. So yeah.
Okay. So you find yourself not only working on the brand, but working with clients directly for this.
Yes, I work with a lot of clients directly. That's sort of something that I love to do. It's been my passion throughout my career, and I love to just kind of vibe with the company and understand, their sort of genuine authenticity, what they come from, what they stand for, and then being able to figure out all the ways that we can help monetize and engage people through merchandise.
So we're going to unpack this a little bit because Derek Block, founder and CEO, who is also going to be speaking at SKU Camp, and when we have an interview with Derek there, he created a pretty unique concept. I loved it when I first saw it. It came across my screen, I think, on LinkedIn, called Brand EQ. What is Brand EQ?
We love brand EQ. So I think it is a really interesting concept. Again, I tell people I pretty much look good for my age, but I'm old and I've been around the block. And so I've been fortunate to work for so many great brands, from Nike to American Express. And, the idea of really understanding your brand and having that inform everything that you do in a way that feels really genuine to people. And I think it's more important than ever. So, what Derek and the team had created and evolved over the last 10 years is in order to even think about a merchandise solution or, what would be the right product or process for an organization, we really need to understand their brand first. So, like emotional intelligence, what Daniel Goleman came up 25 years ago,
Yeah.
the idea that if you really understand your brand and how it interacts with people, and kind of take that personality of the brand and extend it in different ways, you're going to have the most success. People are going to really respond to you. And so, if you're really considering and putting that intent into your merchandise solutions, you can really have a very powerful intentional connection with people.
I love it because it also helps your team start out on the right foot with the client to understand them. It's a very comprehensive aspect. And then it also helps the client put everything in context, it sounds like.
100%. And we're building it into, we used to really talk about it as it related to the merch process, but we're building it into every capability that we have. So now we have a fully robust program around brand EQ merch and like how to really help understand the brand, the consumer profiles, the archetypes, segmentation, who is the merchandise for to create those solutions. Then we're doing the same thing from a digital e-commerce perspective with their shop experiences and making sure that the user experience and the interface and how the cart conversions and everything that we do related to the e-commerce experience makes sense for the brand. And then and then we have ops, which is our brand EQ fulfillment experience. So what does the unboxing experience look like? And how does that fit with the brand? If you're, a sustainable brand, what is your packing tape? And how does that extend through every aspect of the company? And we do use that, like you said, from an internal point of view, so that all our employees are on the same page. Like, this is what this brand is about. So if you go into our warehouse, you see everything related to
Yeah.
one of our customers, because it's really important that the people who are packing up the products are understanding who it's going to.
It's also somewhat of a sales roadmap for your team, I would imagine, because then you're looking at all the touch points that the brand can exhibit. You're almost unpacking sales opportunities while helping the client at the same time.
Yes, I mean, we think so. I mean, we like to say, add value along the way. Of course, some of it is like selfishly we're growing our business, but we do feel like people just expect that Amazon experience today, right? They want the right product, they want it at the right time, they want it at the right price. And so, we we don't want to think of promotional merchandise the old way when it's just kind of like, put together, not as thoughtful and in each piece of this, including the delivery experience. And we just know that everybody has that expectation and every brand should be delivering on that. The capabilities exist. So why wouldn't we kind of connect the dots for them and help add value as much as we can?
Right. Does every new client go through, you know how clients come to us, especially new clients, they come to us with a project typically,
Yeah.
not typically, they don't come prepared to go, I'm ready to review my entire brand. So
Yeah.
does every client go through this?
Not every client.
Okay.
We have kind of different phases of it based on if it's like, just a project based opportunity and more of like an enterprise client. So we can condense it, based on what the opportunity is for the client. We can do a lot of the work internally. Ideally, we like to engage them and not just the person that's talking to us from the client, but someone from their sales team and someone from their HR team, because everybody within the company has a little bit of a different perspective. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can go all the way from, a quick internal session for a project based opportunity where we go through our own rigor that way. Or, we have people come in for 2 day, full on workshops where we get the whole teams together and we have it very structured out, so that we can kind of get on the same page. And just so you understand too, it's not to dictate the brand at all. Like some brands, going through this exercise, there's a lot of learnings for them. Some they're like, we're dialed, like our brand is everything. And so then we just want to be educated on what their brand is so that we're
Yeah.
making sure
Good
that
point.
everything that we're doing, reinforces that. It's bigger than just a brand guideline deck. It's like the essence and the personality and the people and the culture, all that stuff really matters.
What kinds of things does it encompass? I think I saw like market position, competitive landscape, brand personality, target demographic, and more. Can you talk a little bit about how that, not only the criteria that you have, but how then that informs a better merch experience?
Yeah, I mean, we start all the way from like Simon Sinek says, what's your why, right? We start all the way from the process of understanding a customer's why, to just try to tease out from them, not what do you do, but why do you do it?
Yeah.
And that often brings up a lot of like interesting conversations that, again, give them a unique positioning like in the market so that everything that we do for them isn't, if you have three insurance companies, they should be doing three different things, even if they're going to the same,
Yes.
event, right? So it's important that it sticks back to that DNA of why are they in this business and why are they differentiated and what's their point of view. And then we take that straight to, yes, their market landscape positioning. Okay, how do they sit? Are they, um, a higher cost provider? Are they more value added and for everybody? So really kind of understanding how they sit within the marketplace and then looking at their archetype. So every brand, falls within 12 archetypes, are they a joker? Are
Cool.
they a
Love it.
ruler? And defining that again, each step of the way, we're getting new insights. Again, some they might totally, be dialed in on and they're educating us, which is awesome because it's great to work with brands, right? Who really understand and are excited about what they have. But you're usually getting, some interesting conversations that maybe they haven't had before. Once we get through all the brand work, which is like kind of the first part of the process, then we dive into consumers. Like, who is the product for? Is it for their internal employees? Are they selling it? Are they selling it? Are they giving it away? Is it for events? Is it for, there's a million different things in our industry that people use the merchandise for. So what is that? And then based on that, how do you want them to interact with it? What's the day in the life? Do you want them interacting with it at the office? Do you want them interacting with it on the weekends? Do you want them in their car? What are the different things? Where do you want your brand to come top of mind? So then we go through all the consumer stuff. And then we start segmenting it out and getting to what we call the visual line planning process, where based on all the information that we've gathered, we'll build out one of those brand books, brand guidelines, and then start to try to inform some ideas around how to bring that to life.
I saw a visual line process or visual line plan
Yeah.
on your website. And what does that look like?
So it really is just like a skew map, basically, of different ideas. Some that could happen tomorrow, and then some could be more that we build towards. But the idea of it is to kind of see, okay, on one snapshot, this is what our brand looks like. To make sure that there's no outliers. Like usually, a company will come to us and they'll have 200 different things that they've done. 50 of them are still sitting in a closet. Some people have
Right.
this, it's kind of like a hodgepodge of stuff. So we want to get it to a point where we can look at everything in one holistic view and say, okay, this is what it looks like. Does this all make sense? And how are we talking about it? And if our biggest market is our internal, customers, why do they only have 4 options, but the external place, has 27 options for a polo. So it's a way of organizing the information and then making sure that it reflects the business that it deserves and the customers that are using it. And kind of thinking about how it could grow and evolve in a future state.
I see. So it's like a visual infographic of the brand's merch experiences and how they impact each audience, and you can see it in one snapshot.
Correct. That's probably a better way of saying it.
No, I love it. I love it. No, I'm you can tell I'm used to radio, right? Or podcasts. So I'm like unpacking it in my head. But I love it. Do you have a client experience that you can share a story around this that exemplifies either one or both of these processes, the EQ or the visual line plan, and how that may have impacted how you worked with them?
Yeah. I mean, I think about an account like Progressive as an example. Like Progressive
Mhm.
Insurance is one of our, big clients, and we do a lot of cool stuff with them because they are very brand first, right? I mean, that's one
Mhm.
of the reasons that
Right.
we worked with them from the jump is because they understood how much we loved and appreciated all the cool stuff and their brand. But it goes in many different directions. They do have like internal teams that are there, on the desk every day selling insurance. And then they do have all these cool events that they do, and they have different targets based on the type of insurance. So I think about like motorcycle insurance. They're going to what's that
Uh-huh.
motorcycle event?
In Sturgis?
Yes, Sturgis
Yeah, right.
and events like that. And we can't show up with like flotata heads like what
Right.
we do like for certain other people,
Right.
right? So we have to kind of kit it out in a way that makes sense for that audience. We did temporary tattoos and we did haircuts and like sort of a barber chop shop we called it, and these different kind of event activations that felt very progressive but were visually they look very different and culturally they made sense for that audience. So those are the kind of
Right.
things that we do. We can kind of tune it in different ways depending on the customer experience, but it all comes from the essence of who that brand is.
I love how you're also really giving your team a pretty sophisticated toolbox as opposed to, yeah, I can source that for you. It just elevates the whole selling process to another level.
I mean, that was one thing that Derek has. I mean, that's why he founded Touchstone, because he felt like there could be a better way, this kind of more agency like brand approach to our industry. And that's our point of difference. I think we're not right for everybody. And, customers that really do understand and believe that brand engagement is real. And the merch is marketing, which is something like that I stole from Gary Vee that I just absolutely
Yeah.
love. Um, I mean, if you believe that that's true and you really care about it and put intention into it, it can be very powerful. So, I forget where I was going with
No,
that.
I know. I love it. I love it. Merch as marketing. I saw that too. I saw Gary talk about this, and he
Yes,
just he just had a little snippet about it, but it was
yeah,
like the phrase was perfect.
yes, and I love it, and we use it on everything now because that's it. I mean, that
Yep.
to us, that's brand EQ. It's
Yep.
it's not merch as a tchotchke or a giveaway or
Yeah.
at an event. It's the most personal connection that you can have to a brand. Like you give somebody something, and it could sit on their desk for like 10 years. I
Yes.
mean, can you think of a more intimate one-to-one relationship?
Yes.
So if you don't think of it in that way, it's just a missed opportunity. So we really believe that it's one of them. I mean, I think other than digital marketing, it's the one medium that continues to grow because
Yeah.
people love to get merch. I remember
Yeah.
at my first PPAI, I think it was Seth Godin did the keynote speak. I don't know if you remember that. Do you
I
remember that?
do. I do
And he
remember that.
talked about Paul McCartney,
Yeah. The
being
T-shirt.
being at a Knicks game and
Right.
jumping over people for
Yeah.
the free T-shirt, and it's like
Billionaire trying to get the free
a
T-shirt.
million are trying to get the free but that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you bring something cool to an event, and people will, like, line up for,
Yep.
like, this Rubik's Cube, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Okay." Like,
Yeah.
so we know that it works, so yeah.
Right. I love it. Merch is marketing. Also, we're at a time, I think we're in our industry, where it's really exciting to be a part of this industry. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Its popularity has never soared as high as it has now, and it just continues to grow. But talking about Touchstone a little bit, Touchstone as a company is really amazing. One of the industry's leading distributors. ASI reported 92 million in revenue in 2022 in their top distributors list. How has your year progressed compared to last year?
I mean, it's good. We as we were going into, the pandemic, everybody was kind of like nervous, like how is this going to affect things? Events are down. I know a lot of people picked up in PPE and stuff to kind of weather that. We really leaned into e-commerce because e-commerce was, everybody was shopping and buying from
Yep.
home. And that allows us to grow pretty significantly during that time. And since then, we've really gone out, tried to partner with more content creators and drive that e-commerce part of our business because we really optimized and tuned our e-commerce program based on that success. We always are willing to build in and invest in customers that are like growing in those areas, and really increased our SLAs and our turn times on different types of products that again, to deliver on that experience that customers are expecting, especially from just an e-commerce company. And then also the fulfillment piece of that. So in addition to all the success and business that we had on the merch side, I would say this, what we call now Brand EQ Shop and Brand EQ Ops, are the two areas where we're bringing in a lot more new customers. Some people who just want us for that, in
Yeah.
terms of the e-commerce experience and our fulfillment operations. We just brought, new facilities, broader facilities in Ohio to service those clients. And that's been a really big win for us.
Touchstone has received all kinds of accolades, but what can you tell us about Touchstone that you wish more people knew?
Touch the entrepreneurial nature of the people at Touchstone. I think that we don't follow the industry formula. Derek really challenges each and one of us all the time to think differently, to do everything that we can to support a customer's brand in the way that we know that we're capable of, and to even challenge the customers in that way. And then if a customer wants to take something somewhere, figure out a way to do it. I mean, again, I said, like, there's so much technology and things happening in the apparel industry, sustainability, whatever those things are, that are out there. And so maybe if we haven't done it before, we're still very, capable of doing it. So really just challenging us to make sure that we are doing absolutely everything we can for our customers. And the company shows consistently that they're willing to build out the capabilities to support those customer experiences. So I think that's something that makes us really unique and special, and it comes right from the top, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Touchstone is a COMMONSKU client. Are you in the platform?
I don't personally work too much in the platform, but I did survey the troops, and because we were on CommonSku, then we weren't, and then we came back,
Right.
and they are thrilled to be back on
Oh, that's
CommonSku.
great.
Yeah, just the user experience, the feedback from the clients, and they're able to engage with them. And then one thing that they noted that we've been using a lot recently, which has been very successful, is kind of the pop-up shop opportunities,
Yes.
and really being able to give customers the ability to have choice in their variation, to aggregate their orders, to get them excited about just new ways of looking at opportunities and events. And I know that that's been driving a lot of new business, actually, by being able to kind of show different ways of being able to use the platform. So the team is super stoked.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Let's talk a little bit about Andrea. You've had notable experience with some major brands, including Nike. You mentioned, by the way, I'm almost done with Shoe Dog. I know everybody's read it but me, but I'm finally getting around to it because of the movie. Yes, I'll admit.
Yep.
But you've worked with some really cool brands: Vans, Reebok, Converse. How does this inform you? I can tell you have this, you come with sort of a brand level of understanding, and it fires you up about this business. How else does it inform your work at Touchstone?
Yeah, I mean, I have been fortunate to like work with some amazing brands and amazing leaders.
Yeah.
I think too, my boss at Converse is now the chief creative officer of Nike. My boss at American Express went on to be the CMO of Visa. I mean, these are people who,
Wow.
like, in my formative years, were like so inspiring, in terms, and really in terms of brand and vision and like what's possible, and um, engaging customers. And so it's definitely stayed with me. The other part, I think, of my experience that's been so powerful was my experience at Babson College. I don't know how many people know about that, but it's actually the number one school for entrepreneurship. So that's where I
Wow.
went to get my graduate degree. And what's so unique about Babson is every professor there is an entrepreneur. So, like, the head of Babson and my entrepreneurship professor was Steve Spinelli, who was the founder of Jiffy Lube. So, like, back in the
Wow.
day,
Yep.
Jiffy
Which
Lube,
was a
I mean,
very successful franchise.
very
Yes.
successful franchise. The founder of the entrepreneurship school was Arthur Blank, who founded Home Depot. So every conversation, every project, every experience is being discussed amongst real entrepreneurs. And
Yeah.
not to take anything away from academics because they bring a whole nother level, but I think that's what makes Babson so exceptional in their work, and the network and the relationships and the people that I gain from there. They're with me all the time. So
Yeah.
I think I've been fortunate to like just have amazing brand experiences. So that's what I love and that's what I know. And that's why I vibed with Derek so much, because
Yeah.
that's so much his passion. So it's been really fun to be, a bigger part of the company and be able to help the people that are there kind of understand the power. Like we have so much power with their brands to
Yeah.
really be able to be grateful that we have that opportunity and how to really like covet it and leverage it.
By chance, was the creative director you referred to at Nike Hoka?
John Hoke.
John Hoke. I got the name wrong. So I'm not familiar with him. I just read an article this morning in Fortune because he has dyslexia
Yeah, I saw that article.
and it was a brilliant article.
Yeah.
Actually
John,
forwarded onto my daughter because we were just talking about this last night as she was saying she's an artist and drawing and the things that dyslexia gave him as a gift. Anyways, I didn't mean to get off on that tangent,
no,
but
he is the best. Like I would go into his office and leave like on cloud nine because it was just he's such a visionary and so creative and talented and such a good person. I mean, he's the one who
yeah,
introduced me to yoga because he was like, "You're way too stressed. Let's go to Bikram." And we went to the Bikram yoga studio,
that's
and
great.
we get there. This is so funny because he is like dyslexic and whatever, like he's a little bit of ADD.
Yeah.
We get to the yoga studio and she's like, "Oh, hi, John." And she goes back and she gets a towel and clothes for him because he never would show up with anything. He just like would have all of this stuff. And it was
I
like,
love it.
that's the other thing that, lesson I learned from all of these leaders, like throughout my career, was the balance of like life and work. It wasn't all work to them. As successful and talented as these people are, like leaders of Fortune
Yeah,
100 companies, they all like had this really like peaceful approach and perspective. There was not anxiety. There was not, I mean, I'm sure they had it at some level. They're not perfect
sure.
people, but it wasn't brought out in the workforce. There was no like, pitting people against each other or, kind of any like bad vibes. It was always like really calm and like what's happening in your life. And it was
Yeah.
just the whole person, which I think when you feel that way, you bring that to the work and then everything is just better.
Yeah. What an influence on others too. And speaking of, a question the community loves for me to ask, and you've sort of touched on it a little bit. What's a recent book or podcast or article that's inspired you or challenged you recently?
Yeah, I mean, I'm into that whole like health and wellness stuff. So, I mean, do read the business book every once in a while, but like new is Jay Shetty. I don't know if you've read anything by
Yes.
Jay, but like Think Like a Monk and Love Rules, and
Yes.
Eckhart Tolle is still somebody that I
Oh,
always
yeah. That's brilliant. I love that.
Pima Chodron just wrote a new book, and which is incredible.
That was, by the way, that was a phenomenal book. She talked about something I learned from that is just the two sides of the same coin. I forget the phrase for it in Buddhist thought, but the positive and the negative, and how they can
Yes,
actually be they can be influences in your life in a good way if you look at them from the right perspective.
yes, yeah. I mean, it's like the obstacles are not in your path; they are your path. So
Right.
being
Yeah.
able to like move through them in a way that you're learning and growing, you can almost make it feel like an incredible, gift, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What brands? Yeah, I know you came from some amazing brands, but what brands do you follow now for inspiration?
I mean, I love all I'm a sneakerhead, I guess. I love all the kind of things in the footwear space and hype beast and kind of following on that stuff.
Okay. All
But
right.
I really appreciate and I love companies that come out and are very bold about their brand. Like one
Mhm.
new cool brand I'm following is like Superside. Have you seen those guys?
Yeah. I have.
I love everything they do. I love their business model. I love just the way they're trying to flip the agency model on its head. I think everything is so consistent and like well done. And I met with their team and just very thoughtful.
Oh,
So
that's
I
cool.
love how brands can just come up and kind of disrupt an industry like that. And I love to watch that, whether it's in agency world, tech world, footwear world, whatever it is.
Andrew, I got one last question. Thank you, by the way, for joining us and spending time. This has been amazing. What do you enjoy doing when you're not working? I think we got a clue in some of the things that you mentioned, but what do you enjoy doing?
Yeah, I mean, I love just new experiences. I was also kind of fortunate through my jobs to travel the world. We went to Asia for development trips in Europe, and so I think traveling and sort of yoga and wellness and meditation, I found like through my life and now doing it more, like how important it is. And I try to like instill that with my kids, because you never really get taught those tools when you're younger, or
Yeah.
like think
Right.
about that and how powerful it is. And until
Yeah.
you get it, I'm thinking to myself, it wasn't until 40 till I even started to think
Yes.
or talk about kind of these things. Then you realize what a game changer it is. So I try to, have some of those routines in my life that build that into each of my daily practice, so that each day is great. I just try to have like the presence of mind, and have this more holistic view.
Yeah, you can sense that Eckhart and Pima Chodron influence for sure. Andrea, thanks so much. I really enjoyed chatting with you. I learned a lot, and what a great experience! What a great company you've built, you and Derek and the team at Touchstone. And our entire team loves you guys and respects you so much. So thanks for coming today.
Awesome. It was so much fun. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you again sometime.
You bet.